What is happening, everybody? Welcome to another All About the Birds, AATSN Eagles Weekly Report here on the AAT Sports Network. I am your host, Chip at Chip for the Birds, joined by Johnny U 9322, and a special guest tonight, as we've been doing so far all season. We are bringing in somebody from the enemy side on Wednesday nights. We got the 49ers this week, so we couldn't think of anybody better to bring in than Mr. Kyle Madson himself, at Kyle A. Madson, who is the managing editor for the Niners Wire, host of the Candlestick Chronicles podcast, and a producer at 95.7 The Game, all the way out there in California. Kyle, what is going on, buddy? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Not a lot happening. Trying to stay out of the heat still, even though it's the middle of September, because what are seasons?
That is crazy. We were just talking about that because, again, East Coast here, it's 9:20 at night. We're looking out like, oh, it's dark, and you got the sunshine streaming in there, and you're like, oh, it's a cool 91. We're like, nah, we're not gonna play that game.
Kicking on, yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm over here wrapped up in a blanket that you guys can't see. So Kyle's going to join us. We're going to talk about all things 49ers to let our listeners know kind of what to expect this upcoming weekend in a battle of some undefeated teams. So real quick, we're going to shout out all of our sponsors. Don't forget, Statement Games, oddsjam.com, Statement Games, 99 Jersey, La Terrain Luxury Watches, Manscaped. This is Johnny's favorite because your balls will thank you. And, of course, the AAT Sports Network shop. We'll shout all those out later. We want to throw it over to Kyle early because your time is precious, my friend. So, it is. Listen, I see your cat lounging behind you. Like, your cat wants to chill, dude.
Oh, my cat's fine. He's an asshole. It's all good.
I love that. So, shout out to Adam. What's up, my friend? Christopher Corrigan, what's up? Go Eagles, indeed. So, you guys played this weekend. You played against the Lions. You had a huge offensive game. Defensively, there was a lot of points allowed to a Detroit team that I did not expect to be very offensive. So, what is the feeling out there in San Francisco right now?
It feels, I don't want to say it felt like a loss because it didn't, but it was definitely a little bit because they were up 41-17 at the 2-minute warning. And then the Lions score, they get the 2-point conversion. They get a bad bounce off of George Kittle's face mask on the onside. Lions recover, go down and score again, make it 41-33. The Niners appear to have the game iced inside of a minute, but Deebo Samuel then fumbles what would have been a game-sealing first down. And the Lions recover, and now all of a sudden the 49ers have to play defense again to try and keep the game from becoming tied. The bigger issue, though, because the late game collapse was just kind of odd. They took out their starters on defense during the drive that made it 41-17. Like, they took out Fred Warner and Nick Bosa was off the field. Jason Verrett got hurt in the middle of the third quarter. Mm-hmm. And that's the big thing that, like, when talking about this defense, and you mentioned the Lions scoring 33 points, Jason Verrett going out, he didn't just get on a cart and walk out or ride out. He tried to walk off the field. He was visibly in tears. He sat on the bench for a little bit and then tried to walk to the locker room and eventually needed help. Like, it was a heartbreaking scene. And you imagine his teammates, have to watch this. And the issue became, outside of kind of being shell-shocked from the Verrett injury, the issue became their backups are a guy named Dante Johnson, who Carson Wentz actually cooked up last year when the Eagles were in Levi Stadium. And Dante Johnson's bad at football, by the way. And then Ambry Thomas, he is. And then Ambry Thomas, who they drafted in the 3rd round out of Michigan, he's bad at football too. And those were the two guys who were on the field when the Lions were going 4 wide, and the 49ers just had no answer. Jared Goff didn't do anything all day, and then those guys got on the field, and he started lighting them up. So I don't think what we saw from the 49ers defense is necessarily – the point total is not indicative of the defense for the most part. I think a 41-17 game is kind of how I'm viewing it from a kind of zoomed out, pragmatic standpoint.
Okay.
But that cornerback depth is definitely a concern and something that, going into a game in Philadelphia, if you're the 49ers, it's something you're definitely worried about.
Well, and that's a great point because it brings up something I wanted to address with you is, Jason Verrett injury. It's tough. His story is so incredible. All the injuries he's come back from, and for him to go down with, unfortunately, another season-ending knee injury, it's pretty heartbreaking. And the thing with them is what you said, it's their depth. And that's something that, I know Emmanuel Mosley didn't play last week. I'm not sure how his, status is for this week. They signed, I think, Drake Kirkpatrick, who's they have Josh Norman. It's a problem when you have veterans who are 5th and 6th basically on your depth chart in DBs, and they're supposed to be, they're pretty tenured veterans. That means they're really not that good. And, Lenore played how many snaps? Was it like 92 snaps? 90 snaps. Yeah. And it's for a super young corner. So it's the rest of our defense, I think, is, okay. They're pretty well, if Kinlaw plays, I know he didn't play last week, I don't think. But their secondary seems to be their big question mark on that team on the defensive side.
Yeah, and the bigger thing with Verrett, so it's two things. This is less like this is for a 49ers podcast, but the 49ers didn't do anything to bolster their cornerback depth. They re-signed Jason Verrett, who played a career high in snaps last year. He played his most games since 2015, I think, 2016. And they just signed into a 1-year deal, and they were like, all right, this is our top corner. And then they waited until the late 3rd round to pick another corner. And then that's where they took Ambry Thomas. And then they drafted Lenore in the 5th round. And they didn't do anything in free agency outside of re-signing Emmanuel Mosley. And Emmanuel Mosley is just a guy. He's a starter. Like, he's fine. And cornerback in the modern NFL is just way too important. Like, it doesn't matter who you're playing against. Like, we saw Travis Fulgham light up the 49ers last year because their cornerback depth wasn't good enough. So they didn't address it how they probably should have. And now they go into, like you said it, Drake Kirkpatrick was on the street for a reason. He's just not that good of a player anymore. Josh Norman had a great 2015 where he's an all-pro, and since then he's just kind of been a guy. And again, he was on the street Monday going into week 1 when the 49ers signed him. So, their defensive philosophy is they're going to get after the quarterback up front and just try to get average cornerback play. And then Jimmy Ward, their free safety, is a pretty underrated player. He kind of cleans things up in the back end, but he can only do so much. And your pass rush can only do so much when your cornerbacks just aren't covering people on contested throws. Like, there's so many problems in the back end for San Francisco that it doesn't matter how good Nick Bosa and Dee Ford and Eric Armstead and Samson Ebukam are. They are just not good enough at corner right now, and they're going to try and piece it together. We may see a combination of Lenore and Norman and Kirkpatrick and Thomas and Johnson on Sunday while they try and figure out the right pieces to make the puzzle connect. But I don't think it's on this roster, 53-man or otherwise.
It's interesting that you mentioned the fact that corners are so important because the Eagles learned that last year when we had, one corner in Darius Slay who's pretty solid, and everybody else was like, who's the next practice squad guy coming up? We saw the same thing with the offensive line last year with 14 different combinations. So there are position groups that are absolutely vital. And if the 49ers are struggling at corner and they're signing guys who are great names, I mean, that's a lot like what the Ravens are doing. They're struggling at running back. They're signing great names, but it's the question of can they still play? And I know that, right now with San Francisco, there are injury concerns. Raheem Mostert being out for the year. What does that do to your offense?
Well, the 49ers are going to generate points. Like, Kyle Shanahan's a good enough coach, and they are healthy enough that Raheem Mostert is not going to derail their ability to put up points. Their offense is different when he's in because he's just so fast and so physical. Like, he is an elite, to me, like an elite talent when he's healthy. And if they knew they were getting 16 games, 17 games from him, no matter what, and he was getting 18 to 23 carries a game, he would be a 1,500-yard guy. Like, he averages almost. I think he's 284 carries in his career, and I think he averages like 5.7 yards a carry. It's nuts. He's a really good player. So it's obviously not great that they don't have him, but Elijah Mitchell, the rookie, was really good. And he was a guy actually that when they drafted him in the 6th round, I compared him a little bit to Mostert. Just when you watch his college tape, especially on those outside zone runs, he gets outside, he gets north to south, and guys just kind of slip off of him. He's really good at breaking tackles, and then he has good high-end speed. But JaMychal Hasty, undrafted 2nd-year player out of Baylor, he's fine. Like he's a fine backup player. And then Trey Sermon, who they drafted in the 3rd round, was inactive last week. He was a healthy scratch. So it remains to be seen what he's going to bring. But all that being said, Kyle Shanahan's going to manufacture yards on the ground. I think that's the least of my concerns for San Francisco.
You have to mention, as Chris is saying here, that Kerryon Johnson is a 49er as well.
Boy, is he? Yeah, he's.
Boy, is he?
So Kerryon Johnson, they signed into the practice squad yesterday. Today they claimed Trenton Cannon off waivers from the Ravens. Okay. So Cannon will likely be on the active roster over Johnson, just because Cannon has played special teams this year. Like he's already played in a game Monday. So I imagine he'll be on the roster. I don't know if he'll be active. I don't know if they'll go with him or Sermon, but it's definitely a blow to the offense not having Mostert in, because it just they're still going to score, but their ceiling just drops that little bit.
Well, the one thing, speaking of the offense and the Jimmy G and the Trey Lance dynamic.
Yeah, so I want to hear about this.
Go ahead. They bring Trey Lance in. He throws a touchdown pass. What do you feel they're going to do, whether it's this game or even talk about, in the future of the season? Is this going to end up being Trey Lance's team, or do you think Jimmy is going to be good enough that he's going to get the majority of the snaps?
Define the future.
This year,
not to get existential.
I'll say this year. I don't want to say future, because the future is going to be Trey Lance.
Yeah. So it's Garoppolo's team this year.
Okay.
It's not about the 49ers aren't viewing this through the scope necessarily of like what's going to help Jimmy Garoppolo the most. It's what's going to help Trey Lance the most. Okay. And I think in their ideal world, they go the Patrick Mahomes route. Not saying Trey Lance is going to be Patrick Mahomes, but that's the route they want to go, where Jimmy Garoppolo gets them just to the playoffs this year. If I don't think they will. If they win the Super Bowl, fine. Like that's great. That's a huge, obviously top level bonus. That's what every team wants. But they're handling Lance with next year in mind, and the year after that, and the year after that. And Shanahan was asked in his conference call on Monday. He was asked, why are you playing Trey Lance these 4 snaps? Like why are you playing him, basically? And his answer was, because to develop a player, it's better to play them than to not play them. But at the same time, I didn't think, from what I saw in very small sample size on Sunday, the game looked a little bit fast for him. Like it was clear this guy's played 1 football game in a year and a half. And the football that he did play prior to that was at the FCS level. Like this is a level and a half jump up for him. Yeah. So
we survived Carson Wentz.
Right.
We know.
Right. So yeah. So he went to the same school as Carson Wentz.
We know.
So
we're really hurt over here in Philadelphia. That's why we throw a lot of shade toward North Dakota State.
No, so I understand. It's okay. Not everybody can go to Oklahoma and be coached by Lincoln Riley, but
right.
So they're looking at this as he needs time to develop, because frankly they don't want him to wind up like Carson Wentz did. And, maybe he's awesome out the gate, but the wheels then eventually fell apart.
Right.
They want him to establish these good habits where he's getting on the field this year. He's playing in some games. Maybe he takes 110 total snaps this year. I don't know. I'm throwing a number out. Maybe it's 110 total snaps this year. That's better than 0 snaps. And Garoppolo's the starter. I don't think they want Lance to start this year. And he's not going to get enough chances in practice. He's running the scout team, but he's not going to get enough chances in practice with the ones to overtake Garoppolo. So I went into this season thinking, man, Garoppolo's leash is going to be pretty short. But the more I think about it, the more I think it's relatively long, because they don't want to start Lance, because if they did, he would be starting already. And I don't think they want to stunt his long-term development by throwing him to the wolves too early. So it's Garoppolo's team. He looked really good on Sunday. And by that, I mean, he's not a top 10 quarterback. He's never going to be. Like, that's just not Garoppolo. But in Kyle Shanahan's offense, can you make the right read and not turn the ball over? And he did that on Sunday. And he completed 17 to 25 throws for 314 yards and a touchdown. And again, that's not all him. It wasn't like, oh, wow, look at how awesome Jimmy Garoppolo was. But with Jimmy specifically, can you not throw the ball into another linebacker's chest? Like, that's the problem with him. It's the head scratching 3 to 5. What in the hell throws a game?
Per game, right?
He had none of those on Sunday. So it's going to be his team. I think he knows that's the case. It's not like first interception, it's Trey Lance is in. The fans may clamor for that, but I think Kyle Shanahan very much has a long-term vision in mind, and that involves Trey Lance playing his handful of snaps this year and not getting any starts. Now, if Garoppolo gets hurt, it's a different story, but as long as Garoppolo is healthy, it's going to be him.
Well, and I think it's interesting that you kind of mentioned, your goal for the season, obviously would be like Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So let me ask this, because in Philadelphia, we are obviously at the beginning of a rebuild. Looking at week 1 where we dominated, we were really excited. So all of us are now like, all right, well, maybe we are a playoff team. In reality, we know in Philly, like this is a developmental year. Let's see what happens. Everything else is just gravy. What is the expectation in San Francisco? Because you guys did draft really high, and obviously that was due to a lot of injuries last season and not playing up to potential. But what is the overall expectation? Like, where is the vibe of where this team should be when the season ends?
So the team will tell you, and I think realistic. The team would tell you, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities, that it's to win the Super Bowl this year. Okay. And when you kind of look at the NFC and you look at what the 49ers are doing defensively, like I said, if they get average cornerback play, like they're going to be pretty good. They're going to score points and they're going to be hard to score on. On the other hand, you wonder, can they keep up with just their division is loaded? Like oh my God. The 49ers put up 41 points and might've had the least impressive week 1 performance in the division. So I think the goal is to win a title. And I think that would be, a lot of fans stated goal for this year. But at the same time, just when you kind of zoom out and you look at the rest of the league, is this roster and the way it's constructed top to bottom, are they going to keep up with the Rams and the Seahawks and the Cardinals? Are they going to keep up with Tampa Bay or Buffalo or Kansas City, or pick a team that could be in the NFC title game or in the Super Bowl? And I have questions. I need to see more, but I think the team very much attacked this year like they want to compete for a Super Bowl.
So we have a question here. It has to do with the Shanahan's doghouse. Pettis, Sermon, Ayuk. Is there something there in terms of Shanahan and maybe some of the players are in the doghouse, and why Sermon was inactive, or Ayuk seemed to not play very well? And I don't know, it's just your eyes. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm writing about this as we speak. It's what I was doing when I jumped on here. So the Sermon thing, I don't think it's a doghouse thing. I think that Elijah Mitchell was just a better player in camp. Raheem Mostert was going to be the starter. And then JaMychal Hasty plays special teams, and Trey Sermon doesn't. And so when it came to who's going to suit up at game time, it was your starter in Raheem Mostert, a better player in Eli Mitchell, and then a guy who does more in JaMychal Hasty to be the third down back. So he was just kind of SOL there. And Shanahan didn't say anything other, like he said that Sermon's handled it professionally, and he has, he expects him to be suited up and ready to go on Sunday against Philly. And I wouldn't consider that a doghouse necessarily. And then the Ayuk thing is kind of interesting, because what he said today, Shanahan, was that Ayuk had an inconsistent camp because he was dealing with a hamstring injury, which we knew. And so he was kind of in and out and had an inconsistent performance, while Trent Sherfield, a guy they signed from Arizona, had a really nice camp. And then he had the 80-yard touchdown in the preseason opener from Trey Lance. He had another long completion in the second preseason game. So Trent Sherfield had this really nice camp. He backed it up in the preseason. And I think it was just a matter of the Niners don't run a lot of 3 receiver sets. They ran 3 receiver sets on 36% of their snaps last week. And that was the 3rd lowest rate in the league behind Atlanta and Houston. So they don't have a lot of opportunities to get all 3 guys on the field. And I think very genuinely that coming out of camp, Shanahan wasn't looking at what Ayuk did last year. He was looking at what has he provided this offseason. And it was about the same as what Trent Sherfield provided. And so they got even snaps. Sherfield outsnapped him by 1. Now, I'm interested to see kind of what happens moving forward when Ayuk is getting consistent practice reps and what it looks like, because maybe the Niners have this really good problem on their hands where Brandon Ayuk and Trent Sherfield are both really good players. Like Ayuk continues on the trajectory he's on, and they just have another player who's on that same trajectory who's really good. That would be a good problem to have. A bad problem to have would be Sherfield should really be a 3rd or 4th receiver, and Ayuk's just not good enough to beat him out. That's the question. Now, I don't think he's necessarily in the doghouse. With Pettis was in a doghouse. Like right. Pettis, he openly challenged Pettis like publicly, like this guy needs to be better. He needs to do better. We're going to challenge him to be better. But just to juxtapose those 2 things, Pettis had a really good back half his rookie year. There was talk, he's going to be wide receiver 1. He gets open in space. He's really good. You can play him inside. You can play him outside. Doesn't have a great second camp. And in the season opener in 2019, he played 2 snaps. Like that. Ayuk played half the snaps with Sherfield. So I don't know if Ayuk is necessarily in the doghouse. And another player real quick, Kendrick Bourne, who now plays for the Patriots, was in Shanahan's doghouse a lot. Like Kendrick Bourne did a lot of stuff that was not awesome. But he still found his way onto the field. He still found snaps, and he carved out a really nice role eventually as a 3rd receiver for them. So I don't think it's like this death knell. I don't think it's necessarily where Brandon Ayuk is. And Shanahan explicitly said that today. He said he's not being punished for something. It's just that Sherfield had a really good camp, and Ayuk's camp was inconsistent. So, like I said, it's going to go one of 2 ways here down the stretch. Either Ayuk and Sherfield are both really good, or Ayuk just kind of fell off, and in his second year, he's not good enough to beat out a guy that the Niners signed to be a special teams guy.
So, looking now ahead, we have 2 teams that are undefeated. The Eagles, are the leaders in first place in their division because the rest of the NFC East all lost. So, looking ahead at this game, what are some intriguing matchups that you're keeping your eyes on? Who is the X factor? Like, what are you expecting out of Sunday's big matchup?
I expect it to look a lot like what last year's game looked like, only the 49ers have more competent quarterback play. I think the Eagles' defensive line is awesome. The Niners' offensive line is good. They signed Alex Mack this offseason at center. That's a pretty significant improvement for them. Mike McGlinchey was better on Sunday. He was a turnstile at times last year. Trent Williams has knocked rust off since last year and finished 2020 really, really strong, and he's looked really good so far. So the Niners offensive line against a really good Philly defensive line is something I'm interested to watch. And then vice versa, a good Niners defensive line against a pretty good Eagles offensive line. I think it's kind of cliche, but I think whoever wins those matchups is gonna win on Sunday. Where the Niners, like I said, they're going to generate points, but I think that what the Eagles did game plan wise against Atlanta, where they didn't ask Hurts to do a ton. I think they can ask him to do maybe a little bit more against the Niners, especially if it's Dante Johnson or Embry Thomas or whoever out there, because that's a matchup they can take advantage of. And I think that I think Nick Sirianni's smart enough to go after that matchup. So it'll be interesting. I think it's going to, it's super football cliche, but it's going to come down, I think, to the trenches and whoever wins those matchups in a close game.
Yeah. So do you? Yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
So with that, we got to get a prediction from you. What do you think Unfortunately, we have to get a prediction from you. What do you think? Your prediction for Sunday?
So I thought that the Lions game was going to be closer than it was because it wasn't as close as the 41-33 score. I actually took the Lions to cover the 7.5 and they didn't. I love the Eagles plus 3.5. I actually in a little parlay, I took them to win outright. Just because I don't know that Garoppolo can do what he did on Sunday when facing the kind of pressure I think he's going to face in Philly. The crowd is going to be bananas. I think that atmosphere is going to be sick. So I could see the Niners maybe starting a little bit slow, and Philly pulling one out. Let's say like a 24-19 or something like that.
Okay.
Wow. So you picked the Eagles. I like that.
Wow.
I like that.
Yeah. Second game of the Niners these last. So they've twice under Shanahan done the East Coast trip where they play on the East Coast, stay out there, and then play a second game. That's second game. So Adam on the chat here says going from West Coast to East Coast. The Niners played in Detroit. They're staying in West Virginia this week. And so they'll just have the short jaunt. Yeah, they're staying at the Greenbrier. The amount of country roads take me home content on the internet right now is enough to make me want to delete the internet. Like I'm going to call Xfinity and cancel it all. It's like, we get it. Like, take me home, West Virginia. That's where they're staying. Like we did it last year too. So that's why, I would hesitate a little bit if I'm putting money on the Eagles because the Niners are staying out there and in there too. Now, granted, I think the Eagles are better than both these teams. I'm not trying to throw shade at the Eagles. 2 years ago, they played Tampa first, stayed in Youngstown, and then played the Bengals. And then last year they played the Jets, stayed at the Greenbrier in West Virginia, and then played the Giants in week 3. And the combined scores of those two games is like 77 to like 13 or something insane like that. So they've been really dominant in those games. But then again, the Giants were abysmal last year, and that Bengals team wound up picking first overall. I don't think the Eagles are in that camp. So I think it's going to be a really close game. Like I said, if you're a betting person, the Eagles plus 3.5, I think is a great number. And I'm excited. It's going to be a really, really fun game, I think.
Awesome. Well, we want to thank you for joining us tonight. We know that, like I said, your time is very precious, so we want to make sure that we.
I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to hang out. You guys want to hang out and chat?
You are more than welcome to hang out. We are going to talk at this point about your practice squad. So I don't know if you want to be a part of it.
Because the 49ers practice squad?
The 49ers practice squad.
Talking some Nate Gary or what?
AKA all the rejects from the Eagles practice squad and roster from the last couple seasons. So if you're willing to throw some shade, listen, it's already dark here. It's turning shady up there. Talk about that practice squad because I just went down. Obviously, we said we said the whole thing about Kerryon Johnson. So that's one because we got rid of him. Right. But then there's also
not that good of a player.
River Craycraft.
Yeah, 49ers legend.
Who was an Eagle. Yes, we know every college known to mankind, Johnny. Good gracious. Nathan Geary.
Nebraska.
There is my very personal favorite, Nate Sudfeld.
Of course, Suds it.
God. But to be fair, we did take Nick Mullins off of your hands for a little while. And Johnny, did you see Jordan Matthews is there again?
Yeah, he's a
tight end. Yeah.
Oh, mother of God.
But they also have a virgin on their practice squad too.
D virgin.
Oh, God.
It's almost 10 o'clock. It's almost 10 o'clock over here. It's okay.
Yeah, it was the D virgin is the one that killed me. But so is there a thing that Shanahan likes about Eagles knockoff? Like Nate Geary is one of the worst football players I have ever seen. And somehow
pick 6 against the Niners last year.
But and that was about the only thing that he picked the whole season. That guy was horrendous. Listen, you know how you're making fun of like deleting the internet because of West Virginia memes. We wanted to delete the internet every time anyone talked about Nate Geary. This guy was a bum.
Yeah, so the Niners signed him this offseason. He didn't even make it to camp. They cut him before camp. They wound up rostering instead. That's hilarious. They wound up rostering instead 2 guys who were converted safeties.
Yeah.
And then they re-signed him. Yeah, and Demetrius Flanagan-Folds. Yeah. Flanagan-Folds played linebacker in the pros. He was a safety in college. Yeah, so they brought Geary back to the practice squad, I think 2 weeks ago, because they have some injuries at linebacker, and I guess he can play special teams. So,
well, Nate Geary was a safety at Nebraska, so it does fit that mold.
There it is. The comments on this are comedy.
Listen, as soon as I said the name Nate Geary and reminded people that he even exists in the universe, I knew this was going to happen. It's almost as good as when I say Nate Sudfeld is one of your options at quarterback this season.
Hey, where'd you guys land last year when Peterson put him in for Hurts against Washington?
Johnny, you want to start with this one?
Well, hey, they were able to maneuver and be able to get Devontae Smith. So I don't care what happened. And
that was a great pick.
So, jeez,
I wasn't joking.
Cool. So you guys were cool with it?
No, absolutely not. I was furious. I thought the Eagles should have been fined and punished. I thought doing that is absolute abomination.
I don't think it would have been an issue if it was a 1:00 game because it was on a national stage. That's the only reason. But to me, it is the end of the year, last game of the season. I don't care.
The NFC East thing, like you want to beat the NFC East at all times, didn't help.
No.
Like for me,
look. We knew what this team was, and exactly like Johnny said, the fact that they flexed it to that primetime game for the entire world to see us go, we're done. We don't care. I think that game is one of the reasons why Peterson lost his job. I don't know if it was his call or Howie's call, but it was embarrassing, and I personally thought that the Eagles should have been fined for that performance.
I think for me, I have a lot of family and friends who are Cowboys and Giants fans, and they're very, very annoying. So for me, it's the aspect of Washington got in, and, I don't like any of the teams in the division, but when I have mostly Dallas and Giants, friends and family who like those teams, to me, it's, I don't have to listen to them.
Right. That was a win for you.
Yeah. For me, it would be a win. So I guess that's why it's a little bit different. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I was not cool with it. And Nate Sudfeld, look, one of the reasons that they fed us, because you know how Howie Roseman is just a swindler of a GM. He likes to feed us these stories. So when they drafted Jalen Hurts a year ago, they said, well, it's because we expect that by the end of this season or next, Nate Sudfeld's going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. So we wanted to get his replacement ready. I'm not joking. This was what was said.
Okay.
So to watch Nate Sudfeld go out, and as soon as he went out, we went, this guy is not going to do a single damn thing. Yeah. And sure enough, he did not do a single damn thing. The fact that he even caught on, yes, we know, Paul, it is a quarterback factory here in Philadelphia. But the fact that he even caught on anywhere blew my mind. It blew my mind. And then we got Nick Mullins. I'm like, oh, I see what we did here. We took out each other's trash bins. That's nice of us.
Yeah, that's are you guys just out on Howie Roseman too? That sounded kind of condescending.
Go ahead, Johnny. You go first because I'm nicer now.
Okay. So the way I feel about it is all these draft picks, everything that he had, what if this coaching staff are able to get, production out of, say, the guys in 2018, 2019, and last year's draft class, and you have capable players to take over the roles of the veterans that you have on the squad. To me, it looks like, hey, he did a great job there. The signings he made this year. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people look at it, and you have to look at the coaching staff with Doug Peterson and the, development that you did not get from a lot of these younger players. And you look at, of course, the coaching staff is the main key with that. As a GM, you're just picking the players, hopefully with the tools enough to be able to mold them. And you look at the 2018 draft the Eagles had, and you had Dallas Goedert in the second round. You had Avonte Maddox in the fourth round, Josh Sweat in the fourth round. You know, Matt Pryor started a little bit. He's not on the roster anymore in the sixth round. And then Jordan Mailata in the seventh round. So right there is a stellar draft class. You can look at that. And then 2019, you have Miles Sanders. You know, you have some other players, but if you can get that, is he really that bad of a GM? I understand some people don't like the picks he made. Some people don't like the different things that he's done. But no GM is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, look at me. I'm a Seattle Mariners fan, and I know about bad GMs and about bad teams. So
I'm an A's fan, so I feel it.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I'll leave that. So I'll let Chip give his.
My thing always is exactly like Johnny said. He's drafting these players, and it just happens like he would draft the guy entirely too high, and then right after comes an absolute stud of a player. I'm like, there's no way you can mess this up consistently year in and year out. Andre Dillard is a guy that is not going to be on this team by the end of the season, and yet he was a first-round draft pick. JJ Arcega-Whiteside instead of DK Metcalf. That's a miss. That is a miss on every which. So if you judge him by those things, it's bad. But like Johnny said, now that they're starting to see some player development and he signed the right players, I got to give him credit. He had a really good offseason. And if these players develop, then he's going to get a reprieve and he can be back to being the Super Bowl winning GM that he has self-anointed himself. We did a show. I know. We did a show and I pulled up Howie Roseman's resume because he was the quote architect, and then he just rails off of all these things. I'm like, bro, you had Andy Reid. Like that wasn't you, bro.
That's great. I love that.
He was the architect. And then here we go, right? Mike saying, yes, the number one run blocker. I know. Everyone's throwing JJ Arcega-Whiteside love. Number one run blocker over all positions. I know. He's the best, bro, at blocking. I know.
You should have, because Stanford is not far from Santa Clara, and John Lynch went to Stanford. So 49ers covering Stanford pro days is like a thing, right? And Arcega-Whiteside, it was a big physical guy at Stanford, and then runs whatever he ran at his pro day, like a 4.4 or 4.45 or whatever it was, just way faster than we were expecting. And dude, you would have thought Jerry Damn Rice was going into the draft out here. Yeah, man. People are like, I don't know why you just trade up late in the first round and just grab Arcega-Whiteside. I just think it's a good idea. Like, man, what? It's nuts.
Only if they would have done
It's not just Howie Roseman.
Yeah.
Well, and that's
every
the thing.
49ers fan anywhere near Palo Alto too.
We are so tough on Philadelphia sports in general. And we spent, I do a show on Monday night where we just talked about this, where you have these weaker-minded Philadelphia athletes. You know, Carson Wentz is a weak-minded former Philadelphia athlete. Nolan Patrick from the Flyers, and he got himself traded. And, now we're talking about the Ben Simmons thing. So it's the idea of playing in a city like Philadelphia is tough. And you have to be mentally strong to do it.
Dude, okay, I don't want to take up your guys' whole show, but give me two
more
minutes.
Dude, take whatever time you want.
It's wild. So I produce a radio show in San Francisco, right?
Okay.
This was literally today a topic on our show.
Philadelphia? We're just weak-minded athletes.
Philadelphia. In relation to... So we had John Gonzalez on. He wrote a whole piece about Ben Simmons and how Ben Simmons, couldn't figure out how to endear himself to Philly fans. And it's so fascinating because Philly fans are well known, like what's the word? Like passionate, hyper passionate, like just on a different level than any other fan base anywhere else. San Francisco Bay Area, I think, is like the opposite. Like our media is, our media, when the 49ers lose, it's like, oh man, this player might've been able to play better. Oh, what happened in this? Oh, well, if this player hadn't gotten hurt. Oh, okay. What do you think adjustments they make next week? Bro, when I was on the East Coast, I turned on a Jets post game after the Jets lost a game, and it was like, fire everybody, top down, get rid of everybody. And it's just like, I don't know if it's a East Coast cultural thing versus a West Coast cultural thing, but it's just so wild the way you guys talk about the Eagles is so much different than the way people talk about like the 49ers or the Giants or the Warriors or the A's or the Raiders, whoever. It's so fascinating. We had a whole 2-hour conversation today about it. And it's just really interesting you brought it up.
That's
what I think.
The one thing that I like to put it to, because I'm in a bunch of group chats, and we have a Seattle group chat, and someone was saying, because they lost to Boston today, someone was saying about, they had they surprised me, and I really applaud the season they've had. And I said, what do you mean the season they had? They missed the playoffs. They had the last 20 seasons. To me, that's not improving. It's not doing it. Oh, well, they did this and this. And I said, if you can accept losing, can you ever win?
Man. But that's kind of what we were discussing, because you're right. Like that mindset, I get it. But at the same time, when you look at, like, you talk about athletes and how they're accepted by fans, it's like, dude, San Francisco Giants fans are like the softest fan base of all time. And they won 3 titles from 2010 to 2016 or 2014. And now they have the best team in the league this year with a lot of those same players. It's just, that's hilarious. But yeah, it's so the discussion became like, is it easier to play sports in the Bay Area than it is in Philly? And I think it is, because, if you lose, like, it's just kind of be like, all right, well, chances are, like, I'm going to get cheered next time I go out, and people are going to want, not going to say mean things. Whereas in Philly, like Johnny just said, like, dude, if you're not winning, you're losing.
Yeah. And it's
fascinating.
I mean, and that's it. Look, we love our sports, and
right.
If you are somebody that plays with passion and does your job, we will support you. Like, that's why we love a guy like Joel Embiid, who, he had all the injuries early on, but now he's got the flash, he's got the pizzazz, and he's got the ability. We love our Joel Embiids. We love our Jalen Hurts right now, because he came out and was like, I look at the first stat I look at is wins and losses. Like, you're doing the right things and you're backing it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we as Philly fans likes.
That makes sense.
So,
all right, guys.
Kyle, like I said, you're more than welcome to stay, but
I'm gonna
at
boogie.
This point, we appreciate you. Again,
Absolutely.
This has been Kyle Madson. He does a lot of great stuff. Check him out on Twitter at Kyle A. Madson. He's the managing editor for the Niners Wire at Niners Wire, host of the Candlestick Chronicles podcast, and a producer of 95.7 The Game. And he's going to be an avid watcher of our Philadelphia Eagles beating his 49ers this weekend.
Very, very, very possible, for sure. I can't wait. It's going to be a super fun game.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks, man.
Right,
seriously, man. We appreciate you. Thanks so much.
No doubt.
Wow, a lot of awesome stuff there. Mike, you had some great comments in the chat box. Can we just talk about that for a second?
I'm like, tag me in. Come on, guys. Tag me in.
Put me in the game, coach. So we're now joined by Mike Bauer at Rewind CEO. He's been hanging out, watching, and enjoying all of the great content from Kyle Madson. So we got a couple minutes left of our show. Let's really get into some of the things that he said. He even said this Phillies team, I'm watching the Phillies down here. Sorry. This Eagles team is going to win this week. I like that.
That's that West Coast mentality. Oh, if we lose, it's okay. You know what I mean?
Cool.
You're talking, if we lose, they're going to go out and cheer us on again. No, man. Maybe it is just an East Coast thing. I don't know. Do your job. Do it right. Just do your job. And I think
the houses thing was big.
Yeah.
Well,
I like that.
Man. You know what I mean? Like, if it's November or December and the Chargers or the 49ers or the Rams lose, like, it's like 4:00 out there. Oh, let's go have a chill bonfire on the beach, brah. And it's like, well, I'm going to go shovel that gray slush off my car so I can get.
Yeah, it's not even the pretty snow anymore.
It's -10 outside. You know what I mean?
My nipples are harder than rock ice going through my shirt, and this is great.
Yeah, and everyone smells like stale Yingling for 2 weeks, and it's terrible. It's an awful existence.
Oh, okay.
The Eagles lose. You know, it's just it's a completely different aspect. Like, maybe, like, California is like this chill, relaxed place. The East Coast, like, everybody's uptight, everybody's piled on top of each other. I don't know, but I'm a passionate Eagles fan. I know you guys are.
Hell yeah.
Also, thank you for having me on. I was watching, and I was actually organizing the box for the live pregame shows. So,
which we're really bummed that we're not doing this week. So again, we did our live pregame show this past week because it was an away game. We only do away games. So you do not get an opportunity this week to see us. We'll obviously do our post games. But our next pregame will be the Eagles Monday night game against Dallas. So we appreciate you. Can we talk, and it doesn't have to be very long. I want to talk briefly about the Eagles injury report that came out today.
Yeah.
Because I was not expecting all this.
Well, a lot of it says rest. So if you take all those rests off,
I get that. I get that, but it's been one game.
But look, take Kerrigan away, personal matter.
Take Kerrigan away, sure.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, to me, it's Rodney McLeod, we know with that.
Right.
Landon Dickerson, we know with that.
Sure.
He was a full participant, same as Davion Taylor. So those are two positives. We know Marcus Epps had a concussion. He's in the protocol. He probably won't play, my opinion on that. Arcega-Whiteside, okay. Brandon Brooks, knee/rest, okay.
Right.
He was in knee. He was on the report for a knee before. Zach Ertz, we knew he had a hamstring and also /rest. So to me, I think it's a little blown out of proportion. It's a lot longer, but if you take all those rests out, it really is kind of expected.
I agree. I just wanted to put it up there and scare everybody real quick because it's Philadelphia Eagles and it's the injury report.
I didn't know J-Jaw hurt his ankle. I don't remember hearing about that, honestly.
He made such a
his umbrella.
Well, no, he made such a big block that he twisted his ankle because he was going so hard at the player.
Poor guy.
No, he was running downfield and the sun got in his eye because mom wasn't there to hold the umbrella up. So he tripped and he rolled his ankle.
Do you remember the Todd Pinkston? I lost it in the lights.
Yes.
Did you guys ever play the computer game Pass the Pinky?
No.
No.
It was this little, just somebody made a BS computer game. It was just you're McNabb and you're just throwing the ball at Pinkston and he would drop every single one and just make an excuse for it. I wonder if it's still up. I should try to find it. It was great.
You should. That's great. So we have this matchup coming up. Now, Kyle gave us a lot of great information. Johnny, what do you see as the most important matchup in this week's game against the 49ers?
I'm going to go with the Eagles receiving core versus the secondary, the depleted secondary of the 49ers. And Kyle mentioned it. You lose Jason Verrett, who was a starting corner. Mosley didn't play last week. He was on the injury report. There's possibility they're not sure if he's going to play this week. If those two guys are out, well, we know Verrett's out, but if Mosley's out as well, then you have, Lenore playing again. You sign Drake Kirkpatrick, Ambry Thomas, Dante Johnson, K'Wan Williams, the nickelback. Their secondary is pretty depleted. So Let's see if you can take advantage with, Watkins and Devontae Smith and Jalen Reagor and, Ertz and Goddard, and then the guys out of the backfield. So for me, that's a matchup that I'm really intrigued to watch and to see kind of how the Eagles can prepare and how they can kind of make the offense, go like it was going last week.
Good. Mike, same question. What's the matchup that you're watching?
I'm really, really curious our offensive line against their defensive line.
Sure.
He was touching about their defensive line is great. It's stout. We got a lot of studs up there. Our offensive line looked really good last week, but the Falcons aren't known to have the best pass rush. So that's going to open a lot up. Or is Hurts going to have time to test the secondary? Is Miles Sanders going to have room to run? You know what I mean? That's really going to be the battle there. He said that their offensive line is good. I think our defensive line most likely
is going to dominate. Yeah. I don't see a lot of teams that we go against that have a better offensive line than our defensive line if we're healthy.
Maybe the Patriots, because their offensive line is very, very good. But I don't think
we don't play them this year. So.
Oh, then
right.
Well, we might. Yeah, there is one chance to play the Patriots, and it's
always true.
There is a chance,
but feels
that's going to require. I would love to know what the odds of a Eagles-Patriots Super Bowl would have been in Vegas before the season started. They couldn't have been very good.
Yeah, I would imagine that would be pretty big.
Yeah, I don't think that's very big at all.
Yeah.
What one player? So I guess I have to give my answer. I agree. I think that the lines matter. I think it's going to be the Eagles tight ends against that linebacking core and that secondary, because we've seen like Jalen Hurts wants to throw to his tight ends. So just them staying healthy as well. My question is, outside of Jalen Hurts, because we know that's the easy one, what player makes a next step up this week? Johnny, that got the slow look.
Who can we say? I mean, look, Devontae Smith came balled out.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Like, I don't know who. Maybe Miles Sanders rushes for over 100 yards.
Okay.
But they didn't really force him. He looked good, but it looks like they're trying to keep him fresh too. I mean, it's a long season.
Are you talking offensively or either?
I'm talking whoever. What one player do you expect to take that next step this week?
I'm going to go Milton Williams.
Okay. That's a good one.
I'm going to go him against, you look at the offensive line, like, Mike talked about, you have Laken Tomlinson, which is not great. He's an okay player. Alex Mack is older. Brunskill, to me, their interior, maybe their weak part of their offensive line. But again, Milton Williams can move around. So you may see, a young player like a rookie, like Devontae Smith last week, and maybe another young player like Milton Williams steps up and takes another step, opens people's eyes up.
Yeah.
Like Kayvon Wallace.
He needs to.
Yeah.
He needs to, especially if Epps doesn't play.
Yeah. And who knows about Rodney? We don't know if Rodney's going to play.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mine's Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson had a bad game last week. Agreed. And I know I've been ragging him on it. He had a bad game between the holding penalties and getting beat. And this week he's going up against Bosa. Lane Johnson has got to take a step up this week.
Well, the thing with 49ers is you have Armstead, you have Bosa, you have D Ford, you have Ekaban.
Yeah.
So you have some pass rushers there that will give you a lot of hell. So they're going to have to come with their A game because they're going to have a lot of rush. 49ers have a very talented defensive line. So you're going to have to keep your head on swivel. And they have a hell of a linebacker in Fred Warner. So it's not like their front seven is pretty stacked. It's just the back end of their defense, which has given them cause for concern. And that's the only weak point I see in their defense right now.
Right. We got some good comments rolling in. I don't know if these are step up or Eureka locks, which we're about to do. So let's introduce the Eureka lock segments and see what's going on. So it's about time to lock it up.
It's time for the Eureka locks of the week. Who's your lock?
Johnny, explain your segment, my friend.
So Eureka locks can be anything. It really can be anything for the weekend. I don't even care. You can even do college if you want, but NFL, college. I'm not gonna say Pee Wee because then Chip will start going with his kids' football, and stuff like that. But again, Eureka locks could be anything. It could be the lock of the week. I will run down last week's locks of the week. The closest one was, I'm gonna say the closest one was Chip because Miles Sanders 20 carries. That was like the closest one. Jeff had Green Bay 3.5 on New Orleans. That was
he had them winning though by 3.5, right?
Yes, winning by 3.5. So he was way off. I think Mike, you had Singleton 12 tackles and a sack.
I was off on that one for sure.
I was off. I had the Panthers were going to dominate the Jets, and Darnold was going to go 304 touchdowns. Yeah, I was wrong. I'm never picking that again. Screw Sam Darnold and screw the
Peanut.
Panthers.
You're right.
Peanut was very close.
Peanut was very close.
Was very close.
So some of these in the comments, right? I don't know, like I said, we got one saying Ertz with 100 yards and 2 touchdowns for this week. Okay, I like that. Adam's saying he's got Quez Watkins with 2 touchdowns, which Michael agrees could be a big game for Quez. Adam's saying this week Penn State over Auburn.
Ooh, I'd love to see it.
I'd love to see that. Now, we did have a couple locks from fans, some comments on Sunday morning. So Porkman, he had Quez touchdown, so that was a no-go there. Michael Ruth had the D-line getting 5 sacks. It was kind of basically not looking very good until towards the end of the game. So it was close on that one. But and that's what the Eureka locks are. It's supposed to be fun. You're just making a bold statement. Like my bold statement of Greg Ward's going to have more touchdowns than Jalen Reagor. I'm already down 1-0 on that. So, and I was reminded when Jalen Reagor scored that it is 1-0 now Reagor. So I know that'll be an all-season thing for me. But so I will shoot it to you two. What are your locks of the week?
Mine's an easy one. The Buccaneers are playing against the Falcons.
Oh, you're going that route.
The Falcon route is right. The Falcons are a bad football team. They are not going to win against the Super Bowl champions.
See, you know that I like set that up for you. I like Ben Simmons and passed it because I didn't want to shoot it.
Right, sure. My Eureka lock of the week is the Bucks win by at least 20.
I could see it, but again, it is a divisional matchup, so
doesn't matter.
I understand. We'll see.
At least 20.
It's okay. We will come back to it next week, so you will be able to explain yourself. And now, Mike, go ahead. What is your Eureka lock?
All right. So if everything goes the way I want it to, and the line holds up, Miles Sanders, 125 rush yards, 50 receiving yards.
Ooh, he went double down. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, I think he looked good catching the ball last week, better than he looked all last year, all offseason. We were concerned about that. Remember, we were talking prior to the first game, what's he going to do? He caught everything fairly handily, I think. And I'm actually really excited to see how this Thursday night game goes between the Giants and the football team, because
it's gonna be so bad.
I know, but
it's gonna be such a bad game.
But one of those teams are starting 0-2 now too.
It's gonna give us a really good gauge on the division too, because the football team's already at their backup quarterback. I mean, week 1. The Giants, I don't know if they're
basically playing a backup quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know if they can run the ball. And the Cowboys play the Chargers, and Justin Herbert, he might shred that.
Marcus Lawrence is now out.
Well, DeMarcus Lawrence. That's what I was going to say. Like the Eagles are a lot healthier right now, knock on wood, than any of the other teams in the division. Is this actually? Did we all write this team off too quickly?
So
we might have, but at the time it felt like the right thing to do.
The other thing to look at, too, is I know Randy Gregory went on the COVID list. So is he going to be available? So you lose Randy Gregory. You don't have DeMarcus Lawrence. Michael Gallup is out. Lyle Collins is out.
Yeah.
You're starting to lose some players. And I understand they may be young. They may have some players, but they have a super young secondary. And that's where it kind of brings me to my lock of the week, because I have Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers. I think Justin Herbert's going to throw for 4 touchdowns. I'm going to go again with my, I'm not going to say yards or anything. I'm going to go 4 touchdowns. And I think the Chargers win by 17 points. So I'm really going super lock on that. I'm going way out there, bold. But I just think if they don't have Gregory or Lawrence and your pass rush,
they're not going to be able to generate a pass rush. Yeah. If
you don't generate a pass rush, you have a young secondary. I know, Trayvon Diggs has played well, but he's young. He's a second-year corner. They have some issues in that back end of the secondary, especially learning a new defense, and it is a young secondary. And you have a capable receivers in Mike Williams, and you have Eckler, and you have Keenan Allen. So, for me, I think that this sets up everything well, because they also are in Los Angeles. Yeah. So, it sets up real well for the Chargers. Not that there'll be many Charger fans there, but just saying.
I have a question here.
What you got?
They were pretty much in that Tampa Bay game.
They were.
What is Mike McCarthy doing when you have a quarterback coming back off a crazy ankle injury, off a shoulder injury, and
throwing the ball as much as he did?
And you can't tell me with that offensive line, with Ezekiel Elliott, with Tony Pollard, you can't generate a running game? Like, do you just want to give us the division now, because you're going to get your quarterback hurt, you're going to lose the locker room, you're going to be unemployed?
The fact that he decided to throw Dak Prescott that much, when he literally spent the entire offseason working with the Rangers pitching coach to try to navigate his shoulder rehab, and then just completely abandon the run game in the first half. Dak Prescott is not going to make it through week 5 if he's expected to throw the ball 50 times a game. It's just that simple.
Can't. You know what McCarthy reminds me of? Do you remember how many times we heard Doug Peterson say, we're going to start doing this? And how many times, as much as I love Andy Reid, you'd hear Andy Reid say, we're going to do this. We're going to put Westbrook and Shady on the field at the same time. Westbrook and Ryan Moats are going to be on the field at the same time. And it would just never happen. And he'd run the ball 6 times a game. It's the same thing with McCarthy. He's the guy that's trying to be the smartest guy in the room, and you're going to get your player killed, man.
He is. And as Peanut's saying, penalties and missed field goals lost the game for Dallas. Yeah, that game was very winnable.
It was, for sure.
So also going off of our picks, we usually do our weekly picks with Chip, myself, Jeff, and then also Jeremy Bridges is along with that. I know Bridges finished 10-6 last week.
Okay.
Chip, I know you didn't finish very well. You did lose to the misses.
9-7. 9-7.
But did you finish better than the misses?
She was 11-5.
Better than you.
Yeah.
But again, that's what happens when you pick against. Basically, she goes off of science. That's what she's doing.
Yo, she does.
But so he's in the lead. We'll do another week and we'll come back with that. But now we got to get to our Eagles prediction. What do we think is going to happen Sunday? I'll let you, Chip, go first and give us your prediction and where you think this game ends up.
The Eagles are winning this game.
Okay.
The Eagles are winning this game. They are healthier. They are already more fired up about what they are doing here. And I think that being at home with fans for the first time, new coach, Jalen Hurts is ready to go. Devontae Smith is ready. I mean, this Eagles team, it's going to be a lot of offense. Defense, they just have to kind of keep up. But I do think it's going to be a high-scoring game simply because you saw the points that San Francisco was able to put up against the Lions. I don't think it's going to be a 41 situation again because that's a really bad Lions team. But I have the Eagles winning this game 34-27.
Okay. It is pretty high scoring. Mike, what do you think how this game plays out?
So one thing I do want to say is I am worried a little bit about our defense, not on the back end. I think we're doing good there. I think our defensive line's good. I'm worried about our linebackers.
George Kittle.
Yeah.
Yeah, we even talked. That is the first at the 1 hour and 3 minute mark was the first mention of George Kittle.
15 for 15 last year in the game, I believe, right? And I know Singleton's improved since then. Eric Wilson's better in coverage, missed a lot of tackles last week. But if one of these guys goes down, we're screwed. And you know what? Howie, please draft a 3-down linebacker. Last time we had a 3-down linebacker was who? Jordan Hicks, D'Amico Ryans going back there. So
yeah.
The middle of the field, Donnie Jones. All right, yeah, can't forget about him. So the middle of the field concerns me, but I think we could do enough. I think we could put enough pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo. Hopefully, Trey Lance doesn't get into the game too much. I think it's a little closer than we might want it to be. 28-24 Birds. What I got.
28-24 Birds. Okay. So I like the thinking there. Of course, the home field advantage. The link is going to be absolutely rocking.
It's going to
be. The way I'm going to go with the Eagles on this one, just because the atmosphere, the players are going to feed off of it. It's going to be so electric there. And I'm going to go Eagles. It's going to be a close game. I'm going to go Eagles 27-21. So, start the season 2-0, going into Dallas, who potentially could be 0-2. So it leads to some fun going into the next couple weeks because it doesn't get any easier.
No.
You have to go to Dallas and then play Kansas City. So try to get the wins when you can. Let's say hopefully start out 2-0. Make sure you get Adams' score as well because he's usually pretty good with his numbers. Adams had like 7 predictions. So
he has, but this is the one that I'm putting up: 34-31 Eagles.
Okay. I keep seeing his name in all these different predictions. Oh, Michael McLean. 29.
Yo, Michael McLean. I need to know. You got to type it up while we wrap this. You got to type up the reasoning because that is a straight up stomping.
Yeah.
You think I want to know, Michael McLean, how you have the Eagles not allowing a touchdown for the first 2 games of the season?
It's funny
because he said defense. Got it.
Okay.
I
like this, Michael McLean. We may have to chat a little bit more in person, my friend.
A funny thing. So, little fun fact. So I looked up. Of course, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles beat Atlanta 32-6.
Oof.
Which is Donovan McNabb's second season, first start against the Cowboys, they won by 27 points against Dallas.
Wasn't that the pickle juice game?
The pickle juice game, yes.
I remember that.
Just a fun little tidbit. It was almost the same exact difference of points 21 years later.
And Peanut's got them losing in OT.
Well, Peanut, we don't want to talk to you. We're going to take him off there. There we go.
And yes, Adam, I know the Phillies won on a wild pitch. Again, I get distracted easily. That's what's down here.
Looks like you're watching a commercial.
Because it is a commercial, as I showed it. So listen, that's just going to be the Eagles Weekly Report. We want to thank Kyle Madson for coming on and joining us, giving us a little perspective on the San Francisco 49ers. Again, check him out at Kyle A. Madson on Twitter, all the great things he does. Let's pay the bills real quick, and then we'll go over let's tell you what's going on the rest of the week. So tomorrow is Across the Pitch, our Philadelphia Union Soccer show. Make sure you're checking that out. Friday is Birds, Beers, and BS with Peanut, so he can explain why he's saying that shenanigans that he just did. Sunday, we'll do our post-game show where we discuss the Eagles win. Monday will be Chips and Dish, like we do every Monday night. Tuesday is Burning Bridges, which has just gotten great viewership, great feedback, great comment with NFL player Jeremy Bridges. So make sure you are checking that out. And then next week, we got to talk to somebody from Dallas about how we're going to whoop on that ass. Whoop on that ass. That's the game plan. That is the game plan. That is the game plan. That's the GP. Make sure you are checking out all of our fantastic sponsors. All of the links are in the bio to the show. Statement Games, a fun free twist on fantasy sports. Between my 3 leagues, I finished 2-1. The one I lost was I did not follow Mike's advice. Mike said, do not play Kyle Pitts in his first game. And I played Kyle Pitts in his first game.
That was a very, very good little tidbit that I had to get, and I had to post that because it was some good info that I definitely had to post that out, especially after his performance on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for, guys.
And that's what he does. So every week, Mike releases his, fantasy little secret insider video. You want to talk about that real quick, the Fantasy Rewind?
Yeah, thank you again for you guys and Johnny giving me the opportunity to do that. Dynasty Decision comes out Tuesday mornings. I'll have to see how we're going to do that in 2 weeks with the Dallas game being on Monday night, because I kind of do it like I did it and I had the game on in the background, but I'll be distracted. So I might end up doing it Sunday night and then sending it over your way. But Dynasty Decisions, not just Dynasty, it's about everything, but Dynasty Decisions sounded really good. So good call on that one, Johnny. But that's it. Tuesday mornings. What time do you drop that at? Do you know?
I usually put it on the Monday night, so then it'll drop usually Monday night. It'll be on there, but then Tuesday morning I post it so everyone can link up and get the link. It's YouTube exclusive, so it'll be on that Tuesday morning with the link posted to be able to check it out.
So when you're getting ready for work in the morning, hook it up to your Bluetooth speaker in the bathroom. When you're in the shower doing your number 2, you can hang out with me a little bit. You know what I mean?
Your morning bower, if you will.
There you go.
So that's Statement Games as well. Again, make sure you are checking out Statement Games. They also give you advice. They're one of our great sponsors. OddsJam.com for my gambling degenerates. Use their Arbitrage Calculator to not lose money. Of course, 99jersey.com, AATBIRDS 20 for a 20% discount. La Terrain Luxury Watches. Use the code AATBIRDS for a 10% discount. Our AATBIRDS shop, we have all kinds of fantastic new designs in the shop. Make sure you are checking out some of these incredible designs and helping out us, your local podcasters. And my very favorite, and Johnny, I caught that you didn't really try to do it last night, so respect. You were like, nah, it's not going to be for me.
I'm not doing it, no.
But, of course, we are sponsored by Manscaped.com. Use the code AATBIRDS for a 20% discount and free shipping at checkout. And, of course,
your balls will thank you.
I made Johnny's ear tingle there. That's why he touched the ear there.
That's why I don't say it. I let you. That's your thing. I won't say it.
We got to make that. You know what, Mike? We were talking about the patches. That's got to be a patch. You let me know.
Okay. I'll see.
You just hit a button and it goes.
Your balls will thank you.
I'll just do this for now.
I like it. I like that. That's good.
And on that note, we're going to pay the bills with our official Manscaped commercial. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, doing all that good stuff. I am Chip Keggy at Chip for the Birds. This is Johnny U at Johnny U9322.
I'm not next to you this time. You're pointing the wrong way.
This is Mike Bauer at Rewind CEO. As we end every show here on the All About the Birds and AAT Sports Network, go Birds.
Go Birds.
Here's a commercial about your testicles. Attention, listeners across the galaxy, all the way from Australia to Houston. Do we have a pube problem? If so, our friends at Manscaped have cleared you for takeoff with their 4th generation and brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Kick your pubes to the next planet with the Performance Package 4.0. The orbits in your pants will feel like you're in zero gravity when you use the best tools for the job from the leaders in male grooming. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get your rocket ready for takeoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBIRDS. Ready for an out-of-world experience, fellas? Look no further than the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped that has just taken off in not only the USA, but Canada, the UK, across Europe, Australia, South Africa, and Singapore. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your whole solar system. First, scheduled for liftoff, new Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. This spaceship is here to guide you on a journey to trim your body, balls, butt, and even Uranus. This 4th generation trimmer also features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multifunction on-off switch, can engage a travel lock, and is even waterproof. The Lawnmower 4.0 also has a 4000K LED spotlight you can turn on and off when needed for a more precise shave throughout your travels across the universe. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker. It's like having a little astronaut to chop your worst weeds up top in your nose and ear. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual-blade system. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. Don't forget to use Crop Preserver ball deodorant and their Crop Reviver to help your little planets be on their A-game while feeling the sun's heat. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Abort hairy balls and Buzz Lightyear that Woody with Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBIRDS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBIRDS at manscaped.com. For a clean trinity and beyond, your Spaceballs will thank you.